All
right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here this morning, nice and bright and early at the Rochester International Airport. How many people have been to a meeting at an airport before? Actually, this is surprising. Okay, more than I would have thought. Yeah, a little bit of a different location, but I think it'll be a really nice space for us today, so I think it'll work out well. My name is Shannon Dougherty. I'm with Department of Environmental Conservation's Great Lakes Program, and I'm joined by Heather Weitzner, my partner in crime in this effort, from New York Sea Grant, who will be just talking momentarily here. So I just wanted to say a few opening words here, kind of highlight what we're going to be focusing on today, and talk a little bit about how this all kind of evolved. So, being part of a watershed-focused program in an agency that does a lot of regulatory stuff is a little bit different because our focus is really basin-wide. And we look for opportunities to achieve restoration, water quality, and other community development goals by working across programs and identifying needs and seeing how we can kind of bridge collaboration with other agencies and organizations, as well as some of the resources that we're getting through both the federal and state Great Lakes programs. So this was a perfect fit because it directly supports all of the goals, all of the main components of our state action plan for the Great Lakes, which includes water quality, natural resources, and then sustainable, resilient communities. So it really blends all of these together well. And it's been interesting. So since we've started talking to folks and learning more about nature-based shorelines and what's happening down south and then what could be happening up here more so, we realized there's just a lot of questions. So there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement for the topic, but similarly, a lot of questions. So that's why we're here today, is to just kind of get a sense of what's being done elsewhere and what we might be able to build on here in New York State, particularly along our Great Lakes shorelines and connecting channels, looking at the Niagara River and the St. Lawrence River as well. So why New York's Great Lakes? Why now? Well, why not? So I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but I think we have a pretty extensive shoreline at around 700 miles, highly diverse site conditions. We have various shoreline types, which we'll be getting into, understanding a little bit more in depth. But and then of course demographically, we have a few different concentrated urban centers that perhaps in need of more protection, an extensive network of natural resource areas, and all kinds of things happening. So, a highly dynamic area, one that could surely benefit from potentially some more nature-based options for when protection is needed. So, and I just wanted to mention, so opportunity-wise, this is something that is really being promoted at the state level right now. Some of you may be aware of a couple of these initiatives. The first was this New York State 2100 Commission report. This was released after Superstorm Sandy. Really included a bunch of different recommendations broken down by sector on how New York State can increase its resiliency, make its infrastructure more resilient to these extreme storm events that we're likely to expect in the future. And so one of the recommendations that I called out here is just this increase of natural shoreline protections along the Great Lakes. Now, of course, that's not saying, shoreline protection should be used everywhere, but where needed, where necessary, and where appropriate, what are some of the greener kinds of options that we can consider that will deliver these multiple benefits of water quality and supporting aquatic habitat and so forth. And then on the heels of the 2100 Commission report, based on the recommendations in that report, came this New York State Community Risk and Resiliency Act that was passed last fall. So this is exciting. Shows us there's support for this. It requires decision makers like DEC and DOS to develop guidance for how to better incorporate and use resiliency measures, how we can use nature-based features and natural resources to enhance resiliency. So guidance is currently underway. That's currently being developed to support those programs. Just our outline for today. We'll be starting in the morning with a series of presentations from some expert speakers, both here in state and from the region, and beyond even. So we'll get to hear a little bit about what's being done elsewhere in terms of design and site-specific stuff, and then also kind of the larger resiliency planning framework that other people have used. And then we'll move in the afternoon to our breakout activity, kind of breaking the breakout groups down into some of the main shoreline types that really had the most interest based on the survey results we did as part of the registration. And be honing in and have some focused discussion on what are the opportunities as relevant to these specific shoreline types that we have up here in our Great Lakes region. And then we'll end the day with a panel discussion and try to kind of highlight some of the challenges and opportunities that may exist through our regulatory programs and from a technical standpoint. So kind of given the physical forces and environmental conditions that we do have to work with, what might be some of our most feasible options to try in terms of nature-based shoreline protection. And I just wanted to, of course, say a big thank you to all of our partners and sponsors in this. You know, it's definitely been quite an effort, and we really could not have done it without the involvement of all of the agencies here. So, and with sponsorship from NOAA's Coastal Storms Program, Sea Grant, University of Wisconsin, New York Sea Grant, and then WOPA, as well as some of our Environmental Protection Fund money from New York State. Huge thank you. And then just the obligatory reminder here of please make sure your cell phone is silent. And I will gladly hand it over to Heather Weitzner.
Did everyone hear me okay? So I wanted to start off just by giving a brief introduction to New York Sea Grant in general and my position. New York Sea Grant was founded in 1971, and we're a statewide network of research, education, and extension. And we promote coastal economic vitality, environmental sustainability, and citizen awareness and understanding of both the Great Lakes shorelines and the marine coastlines. And basically, we bring science-based information to our stakeholders, and this information can range anywhere from fisheries to community resilience, to seafood safety, to recreation and tourism. So it's kind of a whole range of topics that we cover. And as a coastal processes and hazard specialist here in the Great Lakes, I obviously cover coastal processes, things like waves, sediment transport, wind, ice movement. So all these types of things that affect our shoreline. And coastal erosion is a large topic that we touch on in this area. And I also run water management and engineering and address coastal flooding. So that is how I'm here. So I just want to jump into why you guys are all here. So I didn't want to give a hard and fast definition of what nature-based shorelines are, because this is kind of a working discussion. I just wanted to give a few general ideas. First, they mimic the natural habitat and shoreline. The shoreline exists the way it is because of all these coast processes acting on the shore. So rain size, shoreline orientation, shoreline slope, all these things are because of years and years of those processes acting on the shoreline. So if you were to implement a nature-based shoreline that didn't mimic some existing or historical area for your reason, it might not perform as desired. Another thing is they allow for natural processes to continue. So a big thing is sediment transport. If you design a traditional coastal engineering project, like a groin or a jetty that's perpendicular shoreline, is pretty well known. You're going to get some buildup on the updrift section, perhaps some erosion on the downdrift. So this is one of the coastal processes that we'd like to try to allow to continue. But, at the same token, erosion is also natural. So while these projects aim to provide some degree of erosion management, completely cutting off erosion is also detrimental to the system. So there's a balance to be found And they range from completely natural to some type of hybrid between natural and structural. And I think of nature-based shorelines as kind of this umbrella where on one side of the spectrum you have more natural, maybe the living shorelines, and then on the other end you have a hybrid of the structure and maybe the more natural. So maybe you're trying to green up a structure that already exists, make it a little more environmentally friendly. Of course, they consider the ecological health and resilience and also provide some degree of erosion management. And I take these pictures, not because these are the only nature-based shorelines out there, but because they provided, down in the bottom, that's a picture from Maryland. You have the combination of hard structure and then some plantings, and then on the top one you have the lot and then some plantings. So these are not the only options out there, but just some examples. So what are the benefits of nature-based shorelines? For this workshop, we put on the lens of the primary benefit of erosion management. We put on this lens because this is a large problem or thing that we find in this region. And it's a question surrounding nature-based shoreline. So will this nature-based shoreline really lessen the erosion of my area? Some secondary benefits, but equally important, are shoreline stabilization, in-water and riparian habitat, restoration and protection. So this goes into the considering the ecological health because the shoreline is a whole system. So you don't want to just focus on erosion management. You want to consider how everything is functioning. Of course, they maintain the coastal processes and transport, also the erosion. There's also potential for increased resilience, and I put this bullet in of human use and access where desired. This is not saying you need to allow human access, but humans are also part of the system. So where maybe you have a bulkhead or a seawall where it kind of drops off, you don't have the access that is desired. With the nature-based roads, you can kind of design for this access that might be wanted. And of course, the improvement of water quality, so vegetation has the added benefit of filtering the water before it reaches your main body of water. And this is a picture I took of some severe erosion on Lake. So this picture is just meant to show the spectrum of possible shoreline management techniques. It is not promoting any of these in all conditions or any scenario. And it's not a spectrum of nature-based options. Today we want to kind of see where along here nature-based shorelines lie. So how far right can we go? So what do we consider a nature-based shoreline? Is it, are you kind of greening up a revetment or a bulkhead? And to what degree do we consider that a nature-based shoreline? And then also we have the vegetation on the left. So in your breakout groups and throughout today, I want you to kind of keep this image in your brain and think of where nature-based shorelines may lie for you, for your area, under what conditions, something on the spectrum might work for you. So, where and under what conditions? Today's purpose is not to promote nature-based shorelines in all areas and all conditions. There's a time and place for them. And there are a lot of different factors to consider. The environmental factors I have listed here are the shoreline type. So we have some bedrock up here. We have a beach and dune system over here on eastern Lake Ontario, some bluffs, some artificial imparted, and then down here we have some additional bluffs and some shale beaches. So we have a pretty extensive shoreline, both on Lake Ontario and Lake Erie in New York. So that's something to consider when you're implementing the nature-based shoreline. Does it match the shoreline type that is already there? Energy as in wave energy. Can your project withstand a high, moderate, or low energy environment? Can your project withstand a high energy storm event or high energy waves in general? But also, on the other side, is your project too robust for a low energy environment? Fetch is related to the wave energy, so as you can see here, fetch for anyone who doesn't know, it's just the area that the wind is acting on the water, so to propagate the waves. Here you have a larger fetch for the waves to be propagated, Lake Erie also, just New York exists more over here also. So how big is your fetch, which relates to how big are your waves? So here we have more sheltered, smaller fetch areas that maybe don't receive the wave action that the larger fetch areas receive. Shoreline slope is important because if your shoreline just drops off then your project will be directly hit by the waves because the waves are breaking right on shore. Whereas if you have a more gentle slope, they're breaking further offshore and then expending their energy up on the shore. This is important also for cost, material costs, the materials that you're picking, placement of the nature-based shoreline. So these are all things to consider. And then vulnerability of coast. Are you on the open coastline? Are you more sheltered embankment? So these are things to consider environmentally, but there are also permitting regulations to consider and your level of need, your level of protection need. So these are all things I want you to think about throughout the day. We're here to talk about what's working elsewhere, what are our options here, with these different factors. And so that is it for me. Let's start the day.